Hi and welcome back to another studying source codes with Jadi on the Geeking channel. On the previous video, I showed you how we can add a keylogger to the bash, the general shell we use in the Linux and many other Unix-based systems, and how to read the code based on an idea from the Cuckoo's Egg book. I've thought maybe it's good to continue working on bash, and one idea is adding a switch to the cd command, an internal command in the bash. We change directory on the Unix-based systems. Even on the Windows, they are using the same cd, same command name, not the same cd. The idea in these videos is, in this specific video, is not adding a useful switch. A useful switch was missing in the cd. For sure, it was already added by the more professional people. The idea is showing you that, okay, now you know C, now you know Python, how you can use this knowing your programming language in doing contribution in major projects, understanding better codes, reading other people's code. By other, I mean the writers are the bash, writers are the suckless, many of the good projects helps you to understand how professionals write code, and also reduces your fear. Sometimes we open a huge project and see, oh, I don't understand anything, I'm not good enough. You are good enough. Let's add a switch to the cd and you will see that it's not that difficult. I'm not sure what I'm going to do at the moment, but we will find something to do. First, we need to find the source code of the bash. You could write bash source code. One unofficial repository is on the GitHub. You can also download from the GNU project page. Both should be the same at the end. Here you can find the download, documentation, mailing lists, getting involved, development, bash project page. Or you can do from the unofficial mirror on the GitHub. Depends on you. No big difference. I will go from here as we did on the previous project. I will copy this link. We'll go to my mk.jadi, cd.jadi. In the temp, I created the jadi, and that will you get, that will you get this source code and make fonts a little bit more human. Okay, while this is being downloaded. On the previous video, I've go through the bash, but thought it's better to do one more thing here. ls. Okay. I will unzip the master. Unzip the master is a little bit. Unzip the master. Anyway, we have it here. I will go to the bash. Here in the VS Code, I can add folder to the workspace. So I will have a working temp jadi. Many times I work in /temp/jadi for this kind of stuff. Even for the switch, we can do something. You know that normally on the Mac, we are using ZSH or ZSH or whatever you call it. But we also have the bash. I was thinking that most of the time I'm working in temp jadi, so I can add one switch to the cd. So whenever I say cd with the switch of j, it will switch to temp/jadi. This is a good idea. Let's do that. At the moment, we have to go here on all the projects. Not all the projects, but in most of the projects, you have an install file which shows you how you should install this project. On the bash, it says do the configure. Configure will check for the dependencies. Let's start it. It says run the configure. I talked more in depth about this in the previous video. And configure will check for everything which is needed for this compilation. For example, it says I'm checking if you have stdint.h, if you have memory h. Yes, sometimes you don't have something, but that is not important. It can continue. If it sees some inconsistency, it sees something which is needed but you don't have it, it will complain and it will break and will tell you, I need this library, you don't have it, I cannot continue. So you have to install it, compile it, however you do it, and continue your work. But Bash in general doesn't need a lot of dependencies because it's a very basic thing. By basic, I mean closest to the bare metal OS. So it tries to have less dependencies. It lets the configure work and check everything. Most probably we have everything which is needed. Then we have to do the make and compile the project, and afterwards we will have a running we have an executable bash which we can run. On the previous video I showed you this and talked more, and we had a look to the source code. There I told you two different approaches for doing this kind of stuff, to reading the source codes. One is starting from the starting point, if it's a C program, from the main function, going through every line, see every call, what it does. Okay, in a better eagle view, but just look at the whole flow of a program. On a bash, this is very difficult. On the bash, what we did was we had a look to the header files, to the file names, to the functions, and found out how the program is structured. One good help here is that the programmer, main program of the bash, programmer of the bash, whoever she was or he was, and the people who contributed did their best to help you to understand their source code. The variable names, commands, function names, structure of the files, everything is very, very helpful. For example, if you see here, redir, okay, functions from redir. It will define some functions from this file. Shell, see, signals. Every name helps you to understand it better. In the previous video, we saw one directory with the name buildings and found out that the building commands are defined here. You can see alias command is defined here. This file is alias.def. Says I can help you to understand def files. I'm not sure. IntelliSense, macro executable. Let's try some of these. Mark, what is this? Anyway, I installed two. Not sure if they're useful or not. COBOL? Anyway, I think I installed wrong things, but no problem. I wanted to show you that we have these def files. In this case, these are not defined in the, yes, it's using the COBOL. I don't need this. Sorry, disable and uninstall. I'm not going to write COBOL in a newer future. Let's see what is this, if it helps me in understanding my def files. These def files, the way they are working is because Bash needs to be a very, very portable program and be able to run on every platform. They create a def file. This is translated to the C file. Then the C file is compiled to the executable. That's why we have these def files. Unfortunately, this also doesn't help much. So I will remove this too. So here I have different def files for different internal commands. See, for the break, for the cd, the one I'm looking for the echo and everything, I have one file for the cd. As a sane person, before changing the program, I will try to compile it. If I cannot compile it now, it would be very confusing to change it and trying to compile it. So I will do a make now to have the official compiled bash in this version. It will take a little bit time because it needs to compile every C, every library, then link them and everything, and gives you one executable. But the good thing is, after the first time, when you tell it to compile, it will only compile the changed files. So it would be much better. Meanwhile, we will read the cd.def to see what we have here. First rule, don't be afraid. Go slow, browse once everything very fast, later read in more depth and everything. It says this is the cd.def from which is created cdc. It implements the built-in cd and pwd in bash. Our idea is to add one switch to the cd. And whenever we say cd, like this, if we say cd dash capital J, we want it to go to the temp slash Jati. You can create your own, but I'm going to create this. So what it does, it has some if def and if, it has some includes, not very important for sure, at least based on what we want to do. It defines something like bind pwd, set pwd, change to directory, interesting. cd spelling, change this to 1 to get cd spelling correction by default. I didn't know we have such a thing at all. Then it defines something as a short doc. This is what is shown in the help most probably. Let's see if the make is fine. No. Meanwhile, we can run our own bash version here. If I say help cd, it shows one help. You can see this is very smaller than what I have. This is also done. See, here I have something fancier and nicer. So the make is done. I can run. See, it has given me a bash executable. So if I run this bash, I will have this. If I do help cd, this is much nicer than the official one, maybe the newer version. These are the switches it has. At the moment, it has -L, -P, -E, -at. -L with 4 symbolic links. -P use the physical directories. -E, if the -P is supplied, whatever. Blah, 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 blah. I want to add mine here. First step is adding it to the help. I will say -J. This is a tab, right? I will do a tab. This is Jati specific switch. It will go to the /temp Jati. Very nice. Now I can come here, do the make once more. This was a def file, so it will create a new C file. We'll compile that one. And then we have a new bash file here. I can run it. Bash, if I say help cd, it shows my switch. Not very beautiful. Here it was nicer. My editor changes the tab to the space, so this is like this, but not important. Now it is better. I copy pasted the tab. Normally when I push tab, it only uses as spaces. So if you want to see if this is working, I can come here, exit from this, make once more. This is what we are going to do a lot of times. Run the bash once more, say help cd. Now it is a tab, much nicer. But this is only in the help. I have to read the code and do the changes there. What I want you to see is, okay, first you don't need to understand every single thing. That way it's very difficult to go forward. Go once, you will understand something. Go the second time, go the third time, and find the place you want. Play, fiddle with that part. Then read the whole source code once more. You don't understand something in the C, go search for that one. There are lots and lots of small macros people use in the C. Anyway, this is the help. Then start. Set pwd is a function. It says just set pwd. Don't change old pwd. Use pwd. Okay, we don't need this. Another function, bind pwd. I'm not going to use pwd. So the next one. This is the same bind. And the next one. The function is called reset pwd. Call get working directory to reset the value of the current working directory. I'm not looking for this. cd x attribute. Not for me. reset X attribute. Maybe this is useful. I don't know at the moment, but I'm checking all the functions I can to see what I have. Int cd building. This building is ultimately the way that all user visible commands should change the current working directory. So this is what I'm looking for. It is called by cd to string. So the programming interface is simple. So I can call somewhere in my programming cd to string and it will goes to that directory. Handles error, restrictions properly. So this is one thing, interesting thing. I can go to the end of this. I'm not sure how can I go. And the VI I know, but not here. I want to go to the end of this. I closed it. So this is the... No. I want to go to the end of whatever this bracket defines. There should be a clean way, but I don't know it. Anyway, I'm just looking by the hand. By eyes, I mean. These are all the same cd. Then it goes to the pwd command. So this should be the end of it. So this is the main function we are going to change, right? Started here, cd building. It gets a list and it tells that, okay, this is changing to this directory. It has some variables, dir name, which is very interesting, cdpath, path temp, path index, no symbolic link, opt. It defines something, if restricted shell, I don't know what is it, I will just pass it. If flags, no X attribute, reset internal, get ops. Most probably this is getting the ops. There is a switch on the opt here. It says if the switch was P, set this variable. If switch was L, do this. If switch was something, I can add mine here. I will just copy this and I will do the same. I say if it was J, do something, which I don't know what should be done, but no problem. I will say some printf. I'm in the J switch. Just to check if I'm reaching here. If printf is not defined, I have to import something, but let's check. If it's not defined, I will get an error during the compile time. So, I will do a make. See if I'm getting error. If I get an error, I need to import something, stdlib, to be able to do that. No error, so this is okay. I will run my bash, help cd. I have this here. Then I will do cd-j. Invalid option. Only these options are available. So maybe somewhere it's testing this. I can search for invalid option. Let's go here and search for invalid option. It says, okay, the same function gives invalid option. So maybe somewhere before that check, it's checking something. I'm just going up and down to see where I was. Dash J. Where was I? This is it. Maybe before this, somewhere it's checking if the switch is correct. Exactly, it's here. See, it says if some attributes L some, but it's checking. While this, checking all the switches, I will add my switch here. So I should pass that check. I will make. While it's making, we have a better look. Reset internal. And before that, it checks for this. So, the bash. This is our new bash. I can say cd-j and say, I'm in the J switch. I am not doing anything useful yet, but I reached here. Now I have to see how do we set the directory which we need to switch to. Let's see. We will review the code. Okay, the switches are done. No symlink is set, no symlink is set based on the switches we pass. Now the main Heavy lifting should be started somewhere from here. It says L flags. Check some flags. If flags is 0. Then it says if list is 0. It means cd without argument. This is equivalent to cd home. If cd home, we will change the dir name to get the string value of the home. So this is the dir name I'm switching to. Very easy to understand. See, it says if list is empty. So if I'm giving you the empty cd command, this goes to home, right? So if I'm doing that, this is the line which works. I'm telling from the comment. It's a very obvious comment. It says cd without argument. This is equivalent to cd home. So it sets the dir name to a function which is get string value of home. Very interesting. What I can do is set my dir name to whatever I want here. I was thinking for a test I can do this. Dir name is temp jadi. If nothing. Okay, first it goes to the sets it to the home, then sets it to this one. So this is useless. This will be the new dir name. Let's just test this one and see what will happen. Exit make. Then run the bash. So pwd, I'm here. If I do a normal cd, I will go here. So this is good. I broke that, but I want this as a switch. I will exit from this. See how it works? I changed the dir name here. So I will say if the switch is J, set the dir name to this one. Still show this for debug info, so I will know what I'm doing. Dir name is that one. Will this work? Let's see. Make. Bash. If I do cd-pwd, I'm here. If I do this, I'm in the J switch, pwd, I'm in users here, I'm in the home. It's very clear. See, here I'm saying if the switch is J, print this, and my dir name will be here. But it goes forward, and here it finds out, okay, list is 0. So dir name should be home. No home, no directory is given, so it changed my dir name to this one. I have to somehow bypass this. What I can do is define a new variable somewhere. Here I can say char j is set. I will set this to 0. When we have the J switch, I will say J is set, should be 1. So I know that the J switch is set, and I will tell it that and not J is set. Let's see this. So I'm checking. I created a new variable using it like a boolean and checking, say, okay, if I'm in the J, please set J is set to 1. Otherwise, it was set to 0. This way, here I can check and say if J is set, don't do this. Let's see what will happen. Make, I did the make, I run the bash, I'm here, cd-j, segment fault. The whole program crashed, something went crazy bad. Let's see why this happened. J is set. This was bad. I can guess what happened. See, here we have a check. If this is done, this is set to this one. If not, it does something else, goes to list next, and most probably we don't have list and the program crashes the whole thing. Let's see what it does. Then if list next, it says too many arguments if you have more than one argument. Otherwise, it checks if nothing is given. If it's null directory, it gives an error. This is also interesting. See, if the directory which is given is dash, what you do is dir name is get string value old pwd. This is how this works. You know, in bash, if you go somewhere and you change to somewhere else, for example, you say go here. If you do this, you will go back to where you were before that. Let me tell it once more. You are here, right? You are here. Now you change, you go somewhere else. For example, you go to the temp Jadi. Now if you issue this, you will go back here. This is the code. It says if list is this, your dir name equals get string value of the old path. This way you are understanding more and more in depth. Anyway, but this doesn't solve our problem. We can do something simple. Here it says if list is 0, if nothing is given, change dir to this. I can do this one. I can check my if here and say if j is set, if not j is set, dir is this one. Otherwise, do nothing. Practically, I have set my j is set here. So I can even do this to make it cleaner and more this more looks like the code they used to have. For example, for the P switch, they are setting one variable and later checking it. For the J switch, I'm checking J is set, setting this, and later, if nothing is given, if J is not set, do this. Else, dir name is temp Jadi. This is much nicer and cleaner, although idiotic. Only fun for me. So I will exit this, I will do the make. So what I have is I'm checking if the J switch is set. Where was it? If the J switch is set, I'm setting a boolean as J is set to 1. Later, when it says no directory is given, I'm checking. If J is not set, I'm setting the directory to home. Otherwise, if J is set, I'm setting the dir name to this. This should work now. We had an error on the else. Sorry, too much Python. Else. My C is becoming rusty. I have to program. Ow, that was not a problem. My C was good in this part. That was the problem. I read the error code. Always read the error code. It tries to help you. Use of undeclared identifier dir name. Did you mean dir name? Very nice. And now it's compiled. I will run the bash. And let's try it. cd-j pwd. I'm in temp Jadi. cd pwd. pwd. I'm in users Jadi. cd temp pwd cd-j pwd. Very interesting. We added a switch to the bash. This was this easy, although the switch is idiotic. As an extra, let's see how pwd works. We saw it here. It says build-in pwd. Pwd does this. This is the help. pwd build-in. We can do something. If we are in home Jadi, we can say hooray. Let's try. Switch opt, same as the previous one. It checks the switches, changes some flags based on the switches. Then it tries to find the directory. if directory, you see, we're just browsing, not reading line by line, checking the blocks. This way you can understand what is going on. Even on the electronics, when you look at the board, you say, okay, this is a multiplier, this is a receiver, this is a power supply. You don't check every single resistor you find, at least on the beginning. Very easy, see? If directory, printf directory. So I can add mine here. If str compare directory with temp jadi is 0, if they are equal, printf, hooray, we are on, and later show the directory. This was super easy if it works. The reason I tried to do it, was that for sure pwd is very easy command. It finds a directory, prints a directory. And here it's printing the directory with a normal printf. Interesting. So go to the bash. This is our new bash. cd-j, pwd. This worked, and the second one worked. Hooray, we are on this. But if I do a normal cd and say pwd, nothing goes on. See, it's this easy to read and change parts of the code and get more and more familiar. We are not cheating, we are just browsing fast. The next time you will read this code, it will be much easier. The next time, much easier. The next time you will know the most of the code. I will try to continue this series and, for example, go for some real world tools with nice source code and add things to them, or even just understands them. I will try with something fun which I'm using myself. Let's see what's the next one. I will be very glad if you subscribe. Also, please comment if you have any issues, questions, or suggestions. And sorry for my bad English. At least I hope it's understandable. Anyway, I was Jadi and wish you good luck and fun hacking.